I'd like to call the Tuesday, August 6, 2019 Papillion City Council meeting to order. Ms. Brown, would you please take the roll?
Sunday. Mumgard. Gaines. Glover. Jaworski. Klug. Stube. Ingberg.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And a current copy do we have an affidavit of publication on file?
We do.
And a current copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the back of the council chambers. Ms. Myers, Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Most of my report is just going to be an update on some upcoming meetings that we hope all of you will be able to attend. The first one is our mission statement working session. And so the council's scheduled for August 13th at 6 p.m. I hope that's on your calendars. The session's going to be held at the Papillion Police Department Community Room, and Kid Glove will be facilitating that meeting. Next is a reminder that we have the Comprehensive Plan Open House scheduled for Wednesday, August 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Papillion Landing Field House. Certainly encourage you to attend that as well. Also, you should have received an invitation to attend a social media training session for local governments. The training is specifically for elected officials. Is Thursday, August 15th at the Sarpy County Boardroom at 6 p.m. So a lot on the agenda in the next couple weeks. Also, all of you should have received your 2019-2020 budget binder. Again, as you can see, the budget will be introduced tonight. And please let me know if you have any follow-up questions from our last meeting. Also, it's starting to be that time of the year where I'll be attending the first League legislative meeting on August 23rd. Again, this session provides cities an opportunity to propose new 2020 legislation for the group to consider. So if any of you have any suggestions, please let me know. And lastly, relative to our most recent annexation, it was effective on July 31st, and city services are being provided to those areas. And staff is working with MAPPA to facilitate the necessary ward boundary changes, and we have scheduled meetings with you for September 3rd to discuss. So that's the end of my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilman Gaines, second by Councilman Sunday. Mr. Stube.
Yeah, Mayor, I'd like to have item C6 removed from consent.
C6 is pulled. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote on everything except C6.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item C6, Resolution R19-0156, a resolution approving an agreement between the Omaha Council Bluffs Metropolitan Area Planning Association, MAPPA, Sarpy County, the City of Gretna, and the City of Papillion for I-80 interchange planning and environmental linkages study. Is there a council member that will... Do we have a motion to approve Resolution R19-0156?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Stube. Second by Councilwoman Klug. Do we have any proponents? I see Mr. Ewell is here. Maybe we take advantage of you being here and maybe just share a little bit of what this is.
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Mayor. Council, my name is Greg Ewell. For those who haven't met, Director of MAPPA. We'll be playing kind of a coordinating role for this study. Sarpy County, cities of Gretna and Papillion would be the parties to that. And so we look forward to getting going. We have a RFP that's just about ready to go out. And we will anticipate that it'll take a few months to get through that, and then basically take most of the next calendar year for the study. It's called a Planning Environmental Linkages Study. That's the planning study you should go through before getting into the actual preliminary design and the environmental portions. So this will be looking at an interchange out in the 180th to 192nd-ish area. Something's been, a concept for a long, long time. So we're excited to see this take some concrete steps towards coming to fruition. I'll also of course, be looking at how the different roads. So we had the Platteview Road Corridor study, 192nd or wherever that ends up ties into that. So it'll be very important to the future of the study. In terms of the cost breakout, MAP is putting forth $125,000 in federal funds, and then the remainder of this cost would be split 3 ways between county, cities of Papillion and Gretna as well. So Hope
Thank
to
you.
be working with you soon.
Thank you. Mr. Stubbe.
Yeah, Greg, could you you indicated that it'd probably take about a year for the study. Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of input is going to be allowed, how you're going to handle that from the standpoint of the public, and, you know, if there's public officials that want to also participate?
Sure. So, yes, of course, it is it's with federal funds. We will be doing an extensive public outreach as part of that, working with local stakeholders, local landowners, obviously all the cities and county that are involved with that. So, this big part of the study will be reaching out to the public and letting folks know about the plans that going forward and how that'll have an impact really on the future of this whole area.
Any other council discussion? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Do we have any other proponents? Do we have any opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
Eight yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Thank you again, Greg, for coming out. Appreciate it. Next is item D1, Ordinance 1850, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget. Is there a council member that will introduce? Introduced by Councilman Klug. Item D2, Ordinance 1851, an ordinance to adopt the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget. Is there a council member that will introduce? Introduced by Councilman Ingberg. Again, another note, Ms. Myers did mention, if you've got any questions in the budget book, and a little bit for the public, the next council meeting will be the public hearing, and the council meeting after that will be the council discussion and a vote. So we got about a month, so if you've got questions of staff of some of the details in there, be sure to use that time to be reaching out and getting your questions answered. Item F1, Resolution R190147, a resolution to approve an amendment to the Arterial Street Improvement Program, ASIP, priority projects. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R190147? Motion by Councilman Glover, second by Councilman Stubbe. Do we have any proponents? Any opponents? Any council discussion? Mr. Stubbe.
Yeah, Mayor Jeff, can you just give us an idea as far as, there's a lot of priority projects on here, and I don't know if there's ever been a cost estimate put to those particular projects. And so one would be from the standpoint of cost. The other would be is that how much funding do we have available within that ASIP fund?
I'll have Jeff take that, and just if people are wondering why we're updating, it's directly attributed to the annexation so we can account for the new territory and how they fit into the priorities. Mr. Thompson.
To answer the question in regards to estimates, no, we have not prepared specific estimates for those road corridors. They're a little bit undetermined at this particular point in time. We put them in there to potentially fill in any gaps between the transportation corridors that we may have currently. If a signal warrant is met, we have the availability to use that funding at an intersection there. Landscaping, other enhancements to the road corridor, trail systems, those kinds of things would also be an appropriate use of those funds. As far as the actual balance in the current account, I guess I would defer to Nancy if she would be able to help me out with that. I know we are paying down some additional or some existing bond debt service with those funds, so it is a little bit flexible, as well as taking in funds every time we pull an actual building permit. So it is a little bit dynamic in the sense that it's growing and declining as we're paying down bond debt and absorbing more fees as that comes. But it's several $1 million up to this point.
Okay. Yeah, because I would make the assumption that because of the growth within the Papillion area, and when you start looking at like Facebook and Project Wizard and some of those other large, that there's a pretty significant contribution going into that particular fund. So there's no question there's a benefit to us when we actually adopted that particular program.
And the funds that were initially in it, remember we did Schramm Road from 84th to 90th, and so that was the first major project, and then kind of rebuilding and going from there. Oh yeah, 120th by Thrasher. Any other questions? If not, please vote.
Eight yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item F2, Resolution R190149, a resolution to approve an application for the American Legion Post 32, 230 West Lincoln Street to relocate the outdoor area permissible by their Class C liquor license. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R190149? Motion by Councilman Ingberg. Second by Councilman Jaworski. Do we have any proponents? Is the applicant here? Okay. Do we have any opponents? Any council discussion? If not, please vote.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item F3, Resolution R190152, a resolution for a request for a final plat for the property legally described as Lot 72 North Shore Commercial, generally located on the northwest corner of South 126th Street and Highway 370. The applicant is BHI Development, Inc., North Shore Commercial Replat 1. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R190152? Motion by Councilman Stube. Second by Councilman Jaworski. Do you have any proponents? If you'd state your name for the record.
My name is, my name is Kyle Haase with E&A Consulting Group, 10909 Mill Valley Road in Omaha, representing the client BHI Development. As mentioned, the property in discussion tonight is on the northwest corner of 126th Street and Highway 370. The purposes of the final plat is to for the purposes of future development for mixed use development on that corner. It's approximately 26.8 acres. It will provide a mix of residential, retail, office, hotel, and then religious assembly as well. Besides the uses, it will also provide an opportunity for community engagement and events, and also provide more of a landscape entryway into the North Shore neighborhood and the Warner Park neighborhood as well. With that, I'll make myself available for any questions that the board or
Thank you very
opponents
much.
have.
Do you have any other proponents? Do you have any opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Related item, F4, Resolution R190151, a resolution to approve the First Amendment to the North Shore Commercial Subdivision Agreement. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R190151? Motion by Councilman Stube. Second by Councilwoman Klug. Do we have any proponents? We'll carry the comments over from the last one, but anything else to share?
No, just available here for comments or questions.
Thank you very much. Any other proponents? Opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
Eight yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Thank you. Item F5, Resolution R190153, a resolution to approve a request for an extension of the West Papillion Catholic Community Preliminary Plat. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R190153? Motion by Councilman Glover. Second by Councilman Jaworski. Do we have any proponents? If you'd state your name for the record.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor. Patrick Flood, appearing on behalf of the applicant. I'm here to answer any questions or respond to any comments.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other proponents? Any opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
Eight yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Thank you. That's all the regular agenda items. No committees have met. Do we have any comments from the floor? No comments from the floor. Any council comments? Mr. Gaines.
Can I get clarification on the city council working session? I thought I heard the 15th, but it says on here 13th.
Yes, let me verify on my calendar.
As she's looking at that, any other council comments? Just a few things from the last couple of weeks. All of the department heads and most of the department heads and myself, we had a site visit for the Prairie Queen project. That's Jerry Reimer's project at 132nd and Lincoln. Actually walked through a lot of the actual units themselves, visited with some of the neighbors that are already moved in. I think one of the interesting things for people to realize, a couple of things that I took away from it, from a design perspective, that's starting to be seen as one of the more unique developments, and he's actually had calls, I think, from 3 different places around the nation where developers want to come to Papillion to understand how he was able to do that development and how it's working. I think one was down in Texas, one was Kansas City, and then another one I think on the West Coast. The other thing he did, he's got a number of price points and different apartment types in there, and to kind of test the market of what was working, he actually built one of every product type in the first phase, which is a little bit more of an expensive way to do development, and trying to see which ones would rent, and every one of them have rented. Which I think the multifamily folks in the Omaha region are kind of surprised at that. His price point of rents actually expand from about $900 to $3,000 a month. And I think one of the other things he was trying to test was the demand of the market for both ends of that. And every price point is rented, and I think all of the 3,000s actually rented out along with the 900s. And based on that mix, he's actually saying in that little area, from an economic perspective, it's one of the most diverse areas in the area when you think of those price points. The 900 was a lady on a fixed income, and the 3,000 was a doctor and his family living here, and they're right next door to each other, and it's just creating an economically diverse neighborhood. And so I think that's given them the confidence to go on to the next phase, and some of those units are actually pre-leased. So very interesting project out there, and they've used a lot of creative parts of the building code to make some of those things work, and it's actually, I think, been a good challenge for the city on how to work on a project like that, and that's why we wanted to kind of do the site visit, is understand some of the challenges we had during the process, and then how it actually played out and what was the end product that was built, and that it was a good product. So I want to thank staff for that, and Jerry actually stretching us a little bit on some process. We had a wastewater agency meeting. I don't think there's probably anything real significant on that. The next major significant thing is going to be setting the rates and understanding the funding sources. But I think concepts are coming together where I don't think that's probably going to be real contentious. Might be some fine details that have got to be figured out, but I think the general philosophy is starting to come together. So I'm going to expect in the next quarter, maybe those will start to come together and be set. And that's probably the last major decision, I think, of the agency. Cooperation Best had its kickoff. A number of staff was there. I think some people are aware Sergeant Foshnot retired. He had 41 years in the policing. 25 of those were with Papillion, and he just retired. So the chief had a nice ceremony for him. Burlington Store had a ribbon cutting in Shadow Lake. That was well attended. I think the regional manager had shared that the day before the ribbon cutting, they had a soft opening that was not announced. The revenue that day put them 17th in their region out of 29 stores. It's pretty significant for a retail operation to have that showing on a soft opening. We also had a United Cities meeting. I don't think there's probably anything major there. It's the middle of the summer. Legislation still being thought about for the next year. But I would say if there's anything that you're concerned about or want us to think about from a legislative perspective, be sharing those, because now's the time. Some of those interim hearings are being held, and we can influence what they're working on a little bit. So if there's anything legislative, be sharing that with the staff. And then Mr. Ingberg and myself and some of the staff attended. Papillion 150 had its first public event yesterday, and that was the launch of the Butterfly Bench Project. If you haven't heard of it, it's an art project they're doing. It's modeled after the bench project that Sarpy County did about 10 years ago. Where they have the blank benches, artists paint them, they get sponsors to buy them, and then they're put out in the public. When the 150 committee was working on that, I think they were hoping that they might get 10 benches out into the community. They had about 38 artists actually submit ideas, and 20 of the benches are already sponsored. So it's taken off in the community a lot more than I think people anticipated. I think where we'll see them, there's some businesses that are sponsoring them that'll put them on their own places. There's some individuals that are sponsoring them. We're going to actually probably put them in their own yards, in the backyard around a garden. And we do have a program set up where if somebody sponsors it but they don't want it, they can actually donate it to the city. And we've identified with Mr. Gowan about 30 different sites around the city where we could be placing these so they're distributed out through the park system and the trail system and that kind of thing. So it's become very successful, and that kickoff was last night. Just a reminder on the calendars, the week of the 12th is very busy. August 12th, St. Columbikill has a groundbreaking for their parish center. The next day on the 13th is that mission working group. The day after that on the 14th is the comp plan open house. The day after that on the 15th is the Facebook. And then on the 20th is the Chamber Economic Development. And we have an answer. Got a note regarding the ASIP funds, $4.9 million. And then, do we have a clarification on the date, on the question regarding the date?
Yes, and I think you just answered that. That was the mission working statement is on August 13th at 6 p.m. And we will send out a follow-up email to everyone as well, Councilmember Jaworski.
Thank you very much. We do have a closed session tonight, so if there's no other council discussion, is there a motion to go into closed session to protect the public interest to discuss land negotiations? Motion by Councilman Gaines. Second by Councilman Stube. Do we have any proponents? Any opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
Eight yeas, 0 nays.
I'll state for the record, the purpose of the closed session is only to discuss land negotiations. The closed session will include the mayor, the city council, city administrator, assistant city administrator, city attorney, city clerk, and the parks